The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Listen up, the soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. They're still using whatever bar their mommy bought for her little man. Is that what you want? To smell like mama's little man? Ugh. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. Or don't. And continue to be mommy's little helper. During the First World War, big soap started taking out all the natural ingredients to make production cheaper and faster. And they replaced all the natural stuff with chemicals. Chemicals like sodium lauryl sulfate, parabens, and dioxane. Chemicals linked to depression, liver damage, cancer, and low sperm count. And worst of all, dry skin. Oh, your poor balls, all dry, empty, and sad. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men.
Live tonight from America's Heartland, Kansas City, Kansas plays host to round number 12 of the Dr. Squatch Pro Series presented by SESRA. It's the Warpath 200 coming up live on your home for live sim racing, LSRTV. We are so happy to have you here. Thanks for making us a part of your Thursday, wherever you may be joining us from. Big thanks to our producer, Brett Wheeler. As always, I am David Schulthouse, joined alongside by Rachel Whiteford and JP Justin Prince. Rachel, it's good to have you back. It's been a few weeks since I've worked with you here, but the SESRA boys have been doing a great job last week at Indianapolis. It came down to fuel mileage as Spencer Preet went back to victory lane once again for the 5th time this season. Jeff Ward faded late, but here at Kansas, a much different track favors the top side, and they got to keep that momentum up. So what are you expecting to see here tonight at Kansas?
Well, Kansas is one of these typical tough tracks where you have a given line. Now, of course, we have the shenanigans of the front stretch and that cuttable apron, but the big part is here the line. It's the top line, and we discussed this before the show. Real life has a cushion of air. When you squash air between your car and a wall, that air becomes more dense, which pushes your car away from the wall. That doesn't exist in iRacing, so you got a line where you have to run at the top, and nothing keeping you off that very hard concrete thing. You hit that, you slow down, people go behind you, and unfortunately race cars don't make great pool balls.
Indeed, they do not. And Justin, back for another week here. And like what we saw at Indianapolis, a great win for Spencer Preet. And we talked to Jeff Ward as well as he lost a little bit of ground. But as we get into the Midwest segment of this championship hunt, one race in the books and a few more to go, what are you looking for? What do you think these drivers are thinking about coming into tonight?
I think coming into tonight, they're looking to continue up whatever consistency they have, especially with not only the regionals, but with the overall championship. Everything's starting to get so tight, especially with the top two with Ward and Preet. The question is, who's going to carry the momentum? Preet, who's won 3 of the past 4 races, or Ward, who comes in as the points leader and is looking to try and get another victory at this kind of a racetrack tonight?
A lot of other storylines to cover here as well, but cars are starting to hit the grid, so let's take this opportunity to look at your LSRTV starting lineup. The man that's going to lead him to the green flag tonight is your overall points leader, driving the number 9, Jeff Ward. To his outside, it's going to be the 99 of Michael Cozy Jr. Starting inside of row number 2, it's going to be the 00 of Spencer Preet. To his outside, good qualifying run. Haven't seen him do a lot of good things recently, but a good start here tonight for Kyle Vincent Gilbert. 5th place belongs to Mike Montesi. John Johnson will roll off from 6th. Rick Thompson in 7th. Matt Ridgway 8th. Brian McRae in 9th. And Steve Ritter rounds out the top 10.
P11 tonight, Mark Arthur with Aiden Patterson with Ashton Schleiss. Hunter A. King, Wally Wilson in 15th place, Tyler Butch Benjamin, Derek Paulson, Zachary Sprung, Jay Graves Jr., and David Nensel in 20th.
Jason Anderson's in the 21st spot tonight, 30.697 the time, while the last driver on set times was Troy Radford. The drivers not recording times, Mark Goyne, Doug Johnson, and Jason Taylor, while Kevin Dye will enjoy things from race control tonight.
As we look at the point standings before we roll off for our pace lap here, Jeff Ward comes in as the points leader by 4 points over Spencer Preet. Basically been these two guys all season long. Derek Paulson in third, some 28 points back. But Rachel, it's really been the story of Preet versus Ward week after week. And tonight we get to see another iteration, the 12th iteration of that battle. Should be another classic one.
Certainly should be, and we'll see how these guys will figure out towards the end of this thing. But you know, one thing we always need to remember in this race is that no matter who starts in the front of the grid, it could be somebody else who wins. Starting up front doesn't mean anything, just means you're a great qualifier.
Yes, indeed it does, but I have to say it's going to also be about trying to keep it clean if you are up towards the front, because if you put the car into the wall and lose so much time, you can lose overall speed, overall aerodynamics. I think if you're up towards the front, you want to stay there, but if you're at the back, I wouldn't be surprised if we see people be patient until, say, about 50 laps to go tonight, David.
Patience will be one of the big words. Momentum will be another one. But taking care of the equipment always at a premium. 2 sets of tires in the pits for these guys to use beyond the set that's on the car right now. So they're going to have to take care of the tires along with everything else. Mind their P's and Q's as they've done all season long. But here we go. Green flag in the air. We are set to go SESRA racing at Kansas as Jeff Ward and Michael Cozy Jr. will lead the field down in turn 1 for the first time tonight.
It's a good start, but it's a chaotic start. Just back from your top 3, as we've already got a little bit of 3 wide happening there. Just barely overlapping as it's 2 wide a bit further back for them. Guys shuffling to final location. Wall slap already there for the 24 car of John Johnson, who's now 3 wide up at the top. As the cars will get underneath him, 13 of Ridgeway being one of them there. I think if that is the same Matt Ridgeway, I think it is. It's not the same Matt Ridgeway, so that's a whole different person. But this is definitely one of those tricky places. We've already had a couple of people grabbing wall, and it's going to be the first of the night.
Now we have big contact up front. Spencer Preet in the 0-0 grabbed the outside wall off of turn 4. They went 3 wide to get around him, and Michael Cozy Jr. will take over the lead. Jeff Ward will fall back to 4th as a result of that. Kyle Vincent Gilbert up to 2nd. So Spencer Preet on the very first lap puts the car into the outside fence. And it's ironic because he was joking in practice that he's never done that before in a sarcastic way. Never put his car into the outside fence. One of the most aggressive drivers, but one of the guys that has the most speed. And right there on lap number 1, JP puts himself into the fence.
Yeah, and he knew the second that he was coming off the bottom, he was heading towards that wall. And he just hit the wall again down the backstretch. So something definitely wrong with Preet, the way he's driving this car on the corner exit. Already twice into the outside fence and already damaging up that car. Needs to keep it away from the fence because I think he's over-pushing on the corner exit trying to test out the speed because these drivers are not going to be touching the brakes in this early portion of the run like they are now.
Absolutely, I think this is something they need to worry about here. Sorry for cutting you off there, Justin, but I think Preet's really not looking on form tonight.
Certainly not the start that we're used to seeing out of Spencer Preet, and definitely not the start that he had in mind, I'm sure, as now he looks 2 cars ahead and sees the man that he's chasing in points, Jeff Ward, up to 3rd. Michael Cozy Jr. reassumes the lead out front there, and everything seems to have settled down just a little bit, but some hairy moments there for Spencer Preet, and when you've got the kind of momentum that he's had and all the wins, you don't want to throw it away on the first lap of a 133-lap event, do you?
No, you do not, and it takes a lot of work to even try to recover that, as many drivers like Ridgeway are now trying to recover from bouncing off the walls. You gotta make sure you keep consistent marks. If you're being over-aggressive, trying to make up for pressing for mistakes early in the race, you're just gonna keep having things snowball and snowball as the race goes on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and this track is not going to be forgiving, with the line here being so intolerant and quite narrow. You've got to be very careful with it. You've always got to be on the conservative side. Now, these guys have got 2 sets of tires to put on during this race. And for 134 laps, that's going to feel like not very many whatsoever. They're going to be really struggling for grip here. And the line will move down a little bit further on the race, but it's really not a pleasant line down at the bottom in terms of how the car handles. And it is a lot slower. So we'll see a major dichotomy between the drivers and how they handle these things.
Well, the high side is definitely the favored place to be, but it's a fine line up there. You're definitely walking on a razor's edge between being in the racing groove and being to the outside retaining fence. And for a guy like Spencer Preet, definitely tested the boundary early. Now he's just got to recover and survive the rest of this run as Michael Cozy Jr. continues to lead, but some good side-by-side racing back here. I see between the number 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin and the 19 of Ashton Slice going at it here for about 13th and 14th. Nice little scramble there as these guys are mostly single file for the most part right now, Justin, but it won't be too long before somebody jumps all over another driver. That's really where it seems to be on corner exit. Somebody makes a mistake and somebody's there to take advantage of it.
Exactly, and right now it's kind of hard to wait for that, because once you kind of have that high line, you just got to hope that they start burning up the tires, carry a bit too much speed. Drivers like Michael Cozy Jr., we've been seen up towards the front, have been able to just control the tempo and control the pace, even in practice, being some of the fastest cars on the track. So you just got to make sure you get towards the back bumper and make a mistake, or in the case you're seeing somewhere in the mid-pack right now, you gotta basically find any way you can to make the bottom side work. As what the heck is Preet doing?
I am not sure, but Preet is going back in a rather bad way at the moment with that car.
I mean, he just forced a 3 wide, guys. Sorry, at the end of that point, just nearly forced it between Arthur and Paulson. Sorry about that there. He nearly caused an incident down the backstretch, David. Interesting.
Rachel, I think we're seeing the effects of the damage you talked about. You don't want to turn the car into a pool ball or something. Is that what you said, a pool ball?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So we're seeing the effects of that being magnified. The right front completely bent in on the double O. The right side door all torn to shreds. And he's just dropping through the field like a rock right now, Rachel. Not a good run for Preet.
No, not at all. And of course, that's going to hurt his rotation, which on this track with the narrow running groove is going to be a huge hindrance to him. That groove is so fine that you've got to really be behind a car that's really going to operate, and ironically, a little bit of damage makes getting even more likely. Spencer Preet, though, is really going to struggle here because the line is so narrow, and the brakes is one way of doing it here at Kansas, but you can also just do it by getting off the gas, which is my preferred method of cornering here at not Atlanta, sorry, Kansas. Preet, they're running high, which is unusual. He wants to get behind his traffic in line, but you want to get off really early. You want to coast it through the corner as much as you can, almost halfway through the corner, then you can get back on that gas straight out again. But later in the run, you will be tapping that brake just a little bit, just to kind of lower the momentum there. Sometimes it can get bad enough you may even have to think about grabbing third once the tires get really shredded, but that would be a long run.
It'll be a long time before we get to that point, and for Spencer Preet, it can't come soon enough as he's just absolutely struggling. I see that Kyle Vincent Gilbert got himself up into the fence as well, so your second place driver there, he's falling back now to 4th and losing a lot of pace here, JP. What happened there?
Yeah, on turn 4, again, another issue where a driver tries to push it, realizes it's too late getting out of the gas and trying to get away from the wall, and ends up barely saving in the grass after being in second all the way back now to the back of the train of drivers. And this is constantly, I think, helping Michael Cozy Jr., where he's got a cushion of time, and now Gilbert's got him mishandling cars. He hits the wall, as Rachel just said. He's really overshot the tires, I think, of running these first 14 laps to where it's pushing upward, and he can't hold the gas as long as he needs to, or let the car roll as much as he needs to be able to carry the speed he needs to keep moving forward.
A big thing to look at right now, of course, Mark Arthur, Hunter King, and Derek Paulson, because those guys have been very close together, and they're all getting little taps to each other's bumpers as Hunter King drops down there in the 38 car towards the bottom line. As the caution flies for the first time tonight, and it's going to be a little bit further back in our field, I believe.
Trying to look and see where the trouble may have broken out.
77 car up top, coming out of 4. We'll get that replay for you. Slaps the wall hard, turns down the track. Clipped by the 69 machine there of Wally Wilson, who just couldn't avoid him. Dumps him round, and across the grass he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I see there. Classic situation of just way too much momentum on corner exit and a lot of steering input to try and keep it off the wall. But once he got to the wall, still had the steering wheel hard to the left and carries it across the 69 front bumper of Wally Wilson, so unfortunate there, but perhaps a blessing in disguise, especially for guys who've grabbed some of that outside wall like Kyle Vincent Gilbert and Spencer Preet to come in and fix some damage under yellow. They're going to give up some track position, Justin, but this might be the time to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers with aerodynamic damage, and this is another one of those types of tracks you do not want to have it, because you can lose so much time in terms of the straightaway speed, in terms of how your car is handling, that we talked about a few times. I think you have to take as much as you can now. Take the track position in loss now, and think of the big picture. Just get the damage repaired that you need to, or else you're going to feel it in this next run, where you're going to end up dropping back like drivers like Preet, who destroyed the front bumper of their cars.
Tough break, but here we are, only 17 laps into this event. A lot of racing action, Rachel. These guys pretty aggressive. It must feel like maybe a shorter race for them compared to what they've had in the past, and they feel like they can keep a pretty good pace up, and they don't really need to be easy on it. Definitely everybody favoring the high side. What's it going to take? Is somebody just going to have to make a dramatic move to the bottom to try and wrestle the lead away from Michael Cozy Jr. right now?
I think it might be, but at the same time, you have to also hope you've got the speed for it. A lot of these guys haven't come down pit road. It's too early for that stop on lap 17, so we're going to see slightly older tyres here restarting. And this is something they tried to practice, of course, in the warm-up session and failed to do so very successfully. So this could be leading us to a night of cautions if this second start goes wrong, which from what we've seen, old tyres restarting here, not a good experience. So we'll have to see what they can do, but it's going to be a tough one.
Looking at the timing and scoring here, it looks like the top 8 drivers elected to stay out, as I see Spencer Preet is in his stall, taking his time to fix up that damage. It looks like Kyle Vincent Gilbert did take advantage of that opportunity as well to come down and take some service. He wasn't in the box for very long, but enough to take some damage. I don't know if he changed tires or not, but definitely what I expected to see. Spencer Preet's got a lot to recover from right here, and if you're Jeff Ward, the points leader, you got to be thinking that's a pretty good break right there. This guy's been very hot, the hottest driver on the series as of late, with 3 out of 4 races going his way, and tonight off to about the worst start possible as lights go out atop the iRacing.com pace car. But Justin, quickly, if you're Jeff Ward, how do you look at this night now, knowing what's happened to Spencer Preet?
I think looking at this night, if you're Preet, you gotta just settle back in and say to yourself, you have to calm down here, because if I try and get all the spots in one go, it's not going to work out. He's got to work methodically through this field tonight to be able to try and get back up to the front to minimize the damage of this first run. If you're Jeff Ward, you're thinking, okay, now I got a little bit less to worry about, but I still want to race for the win, because he is that type of a driver. So I think if you're Ward, you still try and maximize points. If you're Preet, you try and minimize the damage that you have right now, because the way this car is, the way the car currently looks damage-wise, it might still be able to run in the top 10, but he might need some luck to finish higher up.
I mean, if there's a driver in this field, Rachel, that can take a damaged car and move it through the field, I think Spencer Preet's the guy that you want holding the steering wheel, right?
Absolutely, but I don't think he's going to have the chance to move it through the field, because a damaged car here with such a high-speed track where it matters so much that you have that speed, it's going to hurt him, unfortunately. There's not much you can do about that.
He's kind of put in a box, no doubt about that, as he'll find himself somewhere back around 20th or so when they do get the green flag and restart this event. But a long road to go for him. He's got some time on his side, obviously well over 100 laps to go still at this point for Spencer Preet, but definitely didn't do himself any favors by putting the car into the outside wall a number of times. Pretty hard contact. A lot of damage. The spoilers bent, the right front fenders crumpled in, and just not a good-looking race car, Justin.
Yeah, that, again, has hit upon, going to be affected on the straight line speed, going to have to worry about engine temps potentially, too, with some of the damage towards the grille, as well as this possible suspension damage. Sometimes you can mitigate that by once you get in the pits, but you have to remember there is still ways to go in this race. As long as he doesn't add to the damage, especially on the right side of his car, I think he might be somewhat okay starting around the 20th spot for this restart.
We'll monitor his progress through the field as they go, but right now, pace car getting ready to pull off, and we'll get this race back underway. Field will be in the hands of Michael Cozy Jr. Jeff Ward lines up to his outside. Rick Thompson, the 29, jumped up to 3rd, along with Matt Ridgway 4th. So And give a call to Derek Paulson there in the 5th in the 5 car. Green flag back in the air. Cozy with a great jump. Jeff Ward sleeping a little bit there. Cozy's going to get away by at least 3 car lengths down the front straightaway as they fight for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Big spread there on the start there. Everyone finding lines. Inside line's not bad on the start, so you get some good traction, but oh, big congestion there as cars slamming that outside wall off too. Big fan out there as they try and find a way. The 12 got a huge liquor wall there. Mark Arthur going to be in some trouble here as the 8, then 227 down low. The 5 in the middle there trying to sort themselves out here as they come around to complete the lap after the restart, and it's a massive dog pile of cars there.
I think Mark Arthur misjudged the amount of grip he had available on the restart there and found himself about to head to the outside fences. The 13 of Ridgeway gets into Rick Thompson off of turn 2. That'll jumble him up as well right in front of Mark Arthur. They're side by side with Derek Paulson and Taylor Butcher Benjamin as well. So just a lot of chaos here, JP, on this restart. Guys on old tires trying to get used to the grip, thinking they're on freshies, but all that means for Michael Cozy Jr. and Jeff Ward is they are pulling away as they are side by side still, Paulson and Arthur.
They only have a couple sets of tires overall for the race that they can put on top of having the sets on the cars, so you have to try and save them if they're as smart as they be, especially if there's multiple restarts, because at this point they're really pushing way too much despite the track temp. The more they do this, the more it's going to make it harder for them in the long run, the more it's going to be harder in the long run where they chew up the right front, the more cars you're going to end up seeing in the wall, which we just seen again on the exit of turn 4.
That's not good news for the 13 of Matt Ridgeway. He is turned through the infield into the grass. Not going to bring out a yellow flag, but a tough break for the driver there, Matt Ridgeway. He'll get it gathered back up, but he'll be well behind at this point. And you see just it gets so tight off of turn 4 there, Rachel, and they just come together.
Big spins there from some of your drivers here as we had contact towards the rear of the field. Hunter A. King on the top side there had problems as he got tapped by the 00 Preet. Preet turns him. Perfect precision immobilization technique move there. Pit maneuver. Dumps the 38 into the 17 and off to the inside they go. Preet carries on. Someone hire that guy to the California Highway Patrol.
Indeed, unfortunate break for David Neitzel in the 17 as well, and Hunter A. King in the 38 getting caught up and just you know, they ask him, did something break? And he'll say, yeah, traction. He had the rear tires picked up off the ground. You can't drive a race car that way. And Spencer Preet, once again, showing the aggression, trying to get through the field a little more on the gas than I think Hunter A. King was ready to be, and perhaps a difference in tires led to that discrepancy in mid-corner speed overall. And around he went, so we're under our 2nd yellow flag of the evening. A couple different things happening there. And for Matt Ridgeway, kind of a good break for him, Justin. He can gather it back up and not lose too much time. He'll still be at the back, but he got that yellow flag, no damage. He's good to go.
Yeah, he avoided getting any significant damage on that collision, but you have to remember in the past couple, he's hit the right front on the wall. He's destroyed the front bumper. I think at this point, this allows him to kind of regroup as a driver once again and get the damage repaired on top of that, because while he was staying up towards the front despite bouncing off the walls, it wasn't easy, I think, for him at all right now. I think he just needs to regroup and refocus, and this allows him the chance to do so with now in our chance for another restart.
Well, just looking at the restart and just analyzing what we saw there, Rachel, it looked like guys were maybe a little overabundant with the throttle than what the tire grip allowed them to do, but guys like Cozy and Ward, of course, got away. But it created an interesting scramble within the rest of the top 10 there, and Rick Thompson and Derek Paulson all sort of held on, but really create some great racing. But in this track, we see these guys just sort of single groove up against the wall. There's just not a lot of room to race, and you can't really do much with the guy in front of you.
Yeah, certainly not. And unfortunately, when people get in the wrong place, it's going to be one of those things, and they have to try and find a way to handle it best they can. And if I can give Spencer Preet some advice for this race, when you're going to perform a pit maneuver, Spencer, make sure you advise dispatch of the road conditions, traffic conditions, and yeah, I don't think the traffic conditions were quite right there for that maneuver.
Well, certainly wouldn't be if you were asking the driver of the 38. He was the one that got pitted there. He certainly wasn't ready for that maneuver, I don't think.
No, sorry, I was just going to say I don't think anyone's ready for that at that point, but the smarter thing, of course, would have been to get well, lose the run, get out of the gas, and try and regroup so you can get towards the bottom side in that kind of close quarter situation. That is how you cause a 10-car pileup on the freeway.
Well, you throw in some snow like most of the country is dealing with, and you're not far removed from reality at that point. But again, you know, I think, and Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong on this in your opinion, but I think for Spencer Preet, he's sort of in territory he's not really comfortable and used to this season. He's been up front for most of the time, and so he's back there in the pack. Single groove racetrack for the most part, not a lot of ways to get around the competition, even if he's feeling that he's faster. And he's struggling a little bit to be back there. It's definitely not the place he wants to be, but I think it's forcing his hand a little bit to drive a little more aggressive than he already does.
Well, unfortunately, when you've got damage in your race car and it's a high-speed track like this that requires aerodynamics, feels bad. Shouldn't have run into the wall, should you?
Feels bad, man, indeed, but slowed by the second yellow flag, and Jeff Ward and Michael Cozy Jr. appear to be the class of the field right now as they work through this caution cycle, and lights will go off atop the pace car, so we'll be getting ready to go back to green flag racing here, Justin. If you're one of these guys inside the top 5, like Taylor Butcher, Benjamin, Derek Paulson, Mark Arthur, what do you think their mindset is right now?
I think they're thinking, can we please get a green flag run together, for one, but for two, they're thinking, okay, seeing what's going on behind me, I don't want to be one of those drivers that tap the wall or end up being over aggressive. So I can see, especially the top 4 or top 5, because of how they've been able to pull away on these restarts, to take it a bit more conservative, stay single file. If the opportunity is there on the restart, they'll try and take it. But the way Cozy Jr. has been, I see everyone trying to stay in the mindset to follow the leader, let the race play itself out up the front for a long run if you get it. Because if you do, that's where you can try and take advantage of where some of the best drivers on the long run to try and take advantage for the win.
Well, one of the names that comes to mind when it comes to long run superiority is Jeff Ward, as he's demonstrated that pretty much the entire season. That's why he is the points leader, but the pace car is off, getting ready to restart here on lap number 27. Michael Cozy Jr. down and away. A lot of tire spin for Jeff Ward there as he nearly grabs the outside wall. He's got his teammate behind him, and Derek Paulson, Loud Pedal Motorsports there, representing the outside lane, so he cut him a little bit of slack, but Michael Cozy Jr. is gone, and they are side by side, 4 rows deep through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's not going to be very helpful for them, but they've got some guys moving here. Paulson moving very fast towards that front group there, getting some good acceleration off the start. Between the 8th there and the 9, but can't quite get ahead of Ward. Good opportunity for Cozy Jr., and of course it's a great opportunity for a lot of these guys, seeing as Preet will be winning this one. Or at least it's looking unlikely that he will. Look at that big dive there by the 9. Ward gets himself under and in front of the 29. Perfect slide job entering the corner there on Rick Thompson.
Well done there by Jeff Ward. Definitely an aggressive maneuver, but he needed to get it done. He's got to track down Michael Cozy Jr. We talk about the driver, that 99. No wins this season, although it feels like he's been in contention so many times. And last week at Indianapolis, Justin, we both watched him nearly pull it off. He came very close, and we thought he was going to be able to do it, and he came up a little bit short, unfortunately. But now, with really only one bullet to dodge and Jeff Ward seemingly for the moment, this looks to be his best opportunity to win yet.
Yeah, he didn't have the best strategy for the end of that race, but for tonight, he was second in practice, second in qualifying, and was able to consistently, as the track cooled down tonight, carry 184 miles per hour on the speed so far, or through these corners. I think right now he could be nearly untouchable with the way this race is going, but again, you have Jeff Ward that you've mentioned a lot, that is much stronger than we've seen overall, as the caution is out again, once again in the tri-oval, and it's Wally Wilson this time.
That'll be a 3rd yellow flag of the evening, and didn't seem like too much of a dust-up. Rachel, did you get a look at that one?
Didn't get a chance to, but I'm going to take a quick look now as we grab that replay there. Wally Wilson, the 69 machine, ended up having a little spin down the front stretch, and it looked to be self-inflicted by the look of things as he comes out the corner. Comes high up the racetrack and grabs himself a bit of wall. Oh no, tapped his old buddy there, who's been in the wars today, the 38 car, who has definitely had some trouble so far. That would have been the machine belonging to... I can't find him in the driver list for some reason at the moment. I'm not sure why that is, because I'm blind, I think. It's Hunter King. And that puts him spinning down the front stretch and gets tapped by the 16. Yeah, no, that was self-inflicted, but it caught a few guys.
Yeah, unfortunate Steve Ritter grabbing a piece of that, and it's just bad luck, wrong place at the wrong time. And again, for Hunter A. King, his bad luck continues. He was spun around off the front bumper of Spencer Preet not too long ago, and now goes for a free ride through the infield, doing a little bit of landscaping by way of Wally Wilson in the 69. So rough go for Hunter King. It was one of those nights that, Justin, you probably had him throughout your sim racing career. You get into a race, you feel good about it, and things just go south, and you wonder, why did I even decide to do this in the first place?
Yeah, it looks like that one of those kind of races, unfortunately, for him. But I think at this point, if you start a race like this, you may as well try and finish and try and do the best you can. And in this case, you don't know what's going to happen, because the way this race has been rolling, anything can happen. You could have the big one happen at the front of the field, and you can be put right back into the swing of things. I think it's just going to come down to whoever comes on top tonight is the one who's going to keep it the cleanest. And right now, the way this luck has been going for a lot of drivers, that's the way it seems to be trending, especially if you're outside the top 5 for track position. You have to keep it clean. And that's, I think, what's pushing people to stay for tonight's race, especially if they've been in incidents, knowing that even if I get in a bunch of situations, there's a chance that I can still get a good points day if a lot of others have the same issue.
Well, points are always on the mind of these drivers, and you look at every race as an opportunity to make up points if you've fallen a little bit behind. And the torrid pace of finishes that guys like Jeff Ward and Spencer Preet have been putting down, it's tough to keep up with that, Rachel. So if you're a guy like Derek Paulson, third in points, and he had himself a good account last week in Indianapolis with the top 5, but still some 30 points back in third, it's really not a whole lot you can do except hope for bad luck to befall your competitors.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, bad luck seems to be happening to a lot of drivers during this race, and a single-grooved racetrack that really doesn't evolve very much during its stint is apparently claiming its victims.
Yeah, clicking off the names one by one, but lights are still on atop the pace car. So I want to take a moment to talk about the title sponsor of this series. That's Dr. Squatch Soap Company. They raised the bar for men's grooming industry and changed the way men approach their hygiene by providing healthy, all-natural products that allow you to feel like a man and smell like a champion. It's a good thing to smell like. Use promo code SESRA15 at drsquatch.com for 15% off of your first order. Once again, drsquatch.com. Use promo code SESRA15. Get yourself 15% off of your first order from the Dr. Squatch Soap Company. So big thank you to them for coming on board, being a part of the SESRA series. And Justin, it's good to have sponsors, good to have friends, but I tell you, Michael Cozy Jr. just wants everybody to go away so he can get his first win of the season.
I think at this point, yeah, he wants this race to get a green flag run and let the race settle it in, because I think he's got the pace to potentially contend for the win with Jeff Ward tonight. The thing is, if this keeps on trending this way, eventually there's going to be so many heat cycles on these tires on the restarts that the tires advantage or whatever advantage he may have falls away. So I think at this point it's going to eventually get to where it's like, okay, we're going to have another short run. He might end up pushing it, thinking it's going to be that case. We get a long run instead. So I think at this point he wants this race to settle on in and have a green flag run. The question is, when will that happen? Sometimes it takes some time. Sometimes it could happen as early as this restart. In a race, rather.
Fair enough. Good point. The lights are out atop the pace car this time. And Rachel, here we go, getting ready for another restart. Does anybody have anything for Michael Cozy Jr. right now? Do you think Jeff Ward's just sort of holding it back a little bit, or do you think he's just being outpaced a little bit at this point?
If I'm Jeff Ward and I can outpace these guys, there's no point to doing it right now. Just run a nice, comfortable race. Don't hit the wall. Let everybody else do it trying to chase you. That's the best way to win around here. Passing after about 3 or 4 laps at this track on fresh tires is impossible. It's really hard to pass when you're fast at this track, so as long as Cozy just keeps his pace good, he's fine. Doesn't have to use everything he has.
It would certainly be a very popular win out there if Michael Cozy Jr. could pull this thing off. He's got a pretty big following, pretty big personality as well, and boy, there would be a lot of happy people if he could pull the 99 into victory lane, but he's still got another 100 laps or so before he can try and make that happen. But green flag is going to be back in the air. And once again, another great jump for him and everyone else snoozing on the restart there.
I think that was because Rick Thompson spun the tires to heck, nearly slamming the door into Kyle Gilbert, and that held the entire inside line up. Good on everyone else to keep aware of what was going on with Thompson's car, because that could have been the big one, as Thompson, it looks like, has absolutely destroyed his right front tire and right front fender.
A tough restart there. He struggled on these restarts a little bit in the 29. Just not going the way that he really needed to, and he's stuck up on the outside, getting passed on the inside. That tells me there's just not a lot of speed in that 29 right now, as Spencer Preet in the 00 work by Ashton Schleiss in the 19, sizing him up for a move as well. And there's the number 1 of Aiden Patterson, too, so give a call to him. Haven't talked about him yet much tonight, but Michael Cozy Jr. already jumped out to about a half a second lead, Rachel.
Yeah, he has, and it's exactly what he wanted to have for this race. And Hibagas 3 wide there, Paulson in the middle, with Butcher Benjamin up on the top, and Vincent 13, I should say, down low. Although I believe the 13 may have had to come from behind us. Ridgway, big mover for him, though. Call him in 3rd place here. 8th on the grid to 3rd now. Matt Ridgway definitely performing very well.
A nice recovery. It wasn't that long ago, JP, we were talking about Matt Ridgway going through the infield grass and going all the way to the back of the pack, but look at how well he's rebounded up to 3rd. He does have a pit stop to his name, so he is on fresher tires. That's going to play into it as well, but I think that's the right call and afforded himself the opportunity to get back up to the front.
Especially if the race goes green, as from here, it might be the race-winning move, because he's got about, compared to a lot of these drivers, 20, 30 lap older fresher tires. So he might be able to just absolutely take off and potentially set the tempo for this entire run. If he can just keep on getting it clean, if it stays green, he might be in a great position to have enough distance to win this race. But there's still ways to go in this one, just reaching lap 40 now.
Lap 40 goes up on the board indeed, and Michael Cozy Jr. still out front. He's led the bulk of the race up to this point, but here comes Matt Ridgway on the new tires, and you can see it there visually just how much new tires really help. You can just keep so much speed up in that car. We'll see how Ridgway attacks this lead here and probably just jump down low. I think he got enough grip to be able to pull that maneuver off, Rachel, as it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. But Cozy Jr., how much do you fight him, or do you just let him go?
Let's say let them go. You've got the advantage in terms of time, and that's going to give you a major boost in terms of track position. So don't bother fighting them. You've got old tires, but they're on new tires. You're going to last longer. Cozy Jr. on the same tires as Ridgway has been considerably faster, so if I'm him, don't feel threatened. But look at this. Ridgway's still struggling to get fully past him, even in the corner. He gets it now. Maybe he just pulls ahead there, but at the same time, not a big problem there for Cozy. He's in exactly the place he needs to be.
I think that speaks to the overall speed and talent of drivers like Michael Cozy Jr., Jeff Ward, and not to disparage Matt Ridgway in any way. He's a very talented driver. We see him week after week doing a great job, but the guy's on older tires. He's got, 35 older lap tires on the 99 and the 9, and they're not exactly falling off like they got an anchor attached to them, JP. But Matt Ridgway doing a nice job now out front for the first time, maybe all season long, doing a great job, and he's going to get himself some TV time, which is always the ideal way to go about a Thursday night here in the SESRA Series.
Yeah, it's a difference of about at least a second between his tires and the drivers in the rest of the top 5 right now, just because of the strategy right now. In fact, to be exact, half a second. I think this might be the perfect chance for him in a race now that looked like he needed to just take a deep breath from the incidents before, getting damage on the front, the back, the right front, and now has clean air. And that's going to make it very difficult, I think, for everyone else to try and keep up, because with him taking the pit stops and having different fuel cycles, while it's still I think still at least a 1 or 2 stop for many of the drivers, he's in, I think, a preferable strategy window if this race goes an extended window of time, 20, 30 laps, where he can stay up the front. If there's a caution in the next 5 laps, that might all go out the window.
Watching this fight here for about 5th through 8th, we'll call it, 4 drivers here. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Spencer Preet, Jay Graves Jr., and Kyle Vincent Gilbert. There have been absolutely brawling between these 4 guys. You've been seeing it on screen. Brett Wheeler doing a nice job bringing all the sights and sounds here tonight from Kansas. But Spencer Preet continuing his march back up through the field. He's up to 6th, and now he was as low as 20th after pitting for an extended period of time to fix damage sustained on the first lap and a few laps after that. So the march through the field continues. Looking at the lap times, Rachel, he's not too far off of guys like Cozy Jr. and Jeff Ward, but still pretty far off enough where I don't think he's going to be competitive with him, but perhaps that has something to do with being in traffic.
I think realistically it does mean something to do with the traffic, but it's one of those positions where, yeah, Ridgeway's now in the lead, but Cozy will get that back himself when he pits, because Ridgeway's tyres and the sequence of cautions we've had mean it doesn't matter. I mean, Cozy starts from 2nd place off a restart here. If we get another one in a few laps, big deal. He'll blast past Ridgeway in no time at all. That car's much faster.
Well, it's sort of the race within the race to keep an eye on. The guys that are on equal tires, of course, Cozy Jr., Jeff Ward, and the guys that we've been watching here, like Preet and Butcher Benjamin and Derek Paulson, inside the top 5. They're the guys that are sort of in the main race, if you will, and sort of the sideshow being Matt Ridgway being the first on new tires out front. So a couple different storylines here to keep an eye on, and really, if you're Jeff Ward and Michael Cozy Jr., you're not really worried about the 13. You're more worried with each other and the guys who haven't pitted yet. And I think that's, maybe some 6 or 7 drivers who have not made a pit stop yet at this point, as Preet dives down low on Butcher Benjamin down the front straightaway, using that apron down there. You got to be real careful as they'll tuck back in line, but I think it's only a matter of time before Preet gets past the 8.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. In fact, everyone's just racing their own race. Preet, as you mentioned, getting the significant damage repaired. Now that little bit of tire difference is just, I think, enough right now. It's just a matter of just taking it calm and patient. And I think the best drivers tonight, again, are the ones who, like Preet's trying to do, can utilize the bottom without losing significant amounts of time to make the passes work. And that's kind of how you have to get it done. Dive it in on the inside, try and park the bus somewhat, and try and get to the outside line before the corner exit, or you force someone into a mistake. And Preet just cannot quite do that yet. I think that's going to be in. I think he right now is in a decent window, but there's still a lot that can happen in this race tonight. Once again, as it looks like someone just ducked into the pits.
It's one of those racetracks, and especially, Rachel, with a single groove right now for the most part up against the wall. You really have to set these passes up. You want to try and get a better run on corner exit so you can make a pass as Preet gets up into the wall right there. But use the speed down the straightaway to get up alongside the guy and give yourself a better chance at passing him either down the straightaway or through the corner here. So you really got to be patient in setting up these passes, since we've seen time after time Spencer Preet try and go down to the bottom and just nothing happening down there.
Well, I'll give you an example of Cozy and Ridgeway. Ridgeway's pass wasn't a particularly fast one on Cozy, and he had brand new tyres that is a slower car. I should tell you a lot. If you're on similar tyres to a car here at Kansas, you're not really passing them unless they make a mistake. And if they make a mistake and you're as fast as them, you're typically right behind them, which means chances are you'll be in the same wreck. But it's not a passing track, it's a survival track, and its groove is being ruthless.
A difficult situation for sure for these drivers, as they found themselves in many times, throughout the season so far. The past 11 races haven't necessarily been cupcakes by any stretch of the imagination. They've had to earn it on a variety of racetracks. I mean, I didn't have the pleasure of being here for the Stafford race, but I did watch it back after the fact, and that certainly wasn't an easy one, Justin, as that's a tough track to get around. But here, it looks like a big, wide racing groove, but when it's just such a narrow corridor that you can actually use with any real speed, as Rachel said, even on new tires, trying to use the bottom took forever for Matt Ridgway to get around a car on old tires, so that just tells you how weak the bottom side really is.
Yeah, it does, and it takes the best of drivers to even get that to work for that bottom side in this kind of one-groove racetrack. It's so difficult, again, to do that unless you really have it dialed down and you know that you can get the job done, and that's exactly was the case there. But to get back to that point with the issues going on now with Ridgway that you mentioned there, with now being slower, of course, this time by at least a tenth slower per lap. That is where part damage comes in, part driver skill comes in, because you could have fresher tires, but if you have a better driver behind the wheel in a better setup, then they can still maximize the speed and pull away despite having as much, in some cases, 10 lap fresher tires at 1.5 mile circuits. And Ridgway, he's absolutely sliding up the racetrack too much. And that's where Cozy Jr. is gaining up the time in the apex of each corner now.
Well, here's a storyline for you, Rachel. Jeff Ward absolutely pounded the wall, and his right front fender is caved in. I watched the intervals drop. He was only about a tenth of a second behind Michael Cozy Jr. I looked away, and I looked back, and he was a second back from him. I looked at the number 9, the Arctic Ford Mustang. A lot of damage on the right side.
Exactly. This is what I've said previously about how much damage affects you here at Kansas. These cars look like bricks. I recognize that. But at the same time, you got to realize just how much aerodynamics plays a major factor in these cars and how they perform. And you get a little bit of damage, and you suddenly don't have any rotation in the car. It's not about sticking the car to the track. That's what the banking does here. It's not about, you know, having a car that's slippery. I mean, it helps, yeah. The speed matters, but you're losing time in the corners because that damage to the outside of the body, it changes the aerodynamic shape, which changes how the air runs around the car. It makes it dirty. Once you've got dirty air, it's turbulent. And that turbulence creates drag. And suddenly your car is now draggier on one side where the damage is, which means it's not going to turn the same way. But when you can't turn, you're screwed.
Well, pivoting off of that, speaking of being screwed, another storyline just emerged. Matt Ridgway absolutely tore down the outside fence all by himself in the lead. Couldn't get off of the wall and has since lost the lead and is now losing time. Jeff Ward closes his on the back bumper of that 13. So even out front on fresher tires, Matt Ridgway could not hold on and surrenders the lead. Michael Cozy Jr. cycles back into it. Jeff Ward trying to find a way past. So a lot of action breaking out here, and it's all up at the front, which is very strange, JP.
Yeah, usually there's a lot of the action towards the mid-pack, but that's really spread on out. Now it's getting interesting where the strategies work out at the front because as this has been going on, we've been seeing some drivers that, while getting repairs, have not had fuel. They've had to get fuel because the fuel limit normally on a full green flag run is max maybe 60 laps at Kansas. We're starting to reach that range where some drivers have to duck in if they weren't holding in the clutch during the pits. And now with the way this race is going with drivers like Ridgway, and the way all the different cycles have been going on because of all the cautions, things have just flipped on their head. And now this has worked exactly to where Cozy Jr. wanted. Kept the car clean, is running his own race that Rachel hit on a few laps earlier, and now Cozy Jr. can just try and coast away from Ward and just focus until his first pit stop overall with the race.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct there. That race within the race that I was talking about with Ridgway being on an alternate strategy is gone at this point, completely erased, as he's got a ton of damage to the right side as well. Michael Cozy Jr., I think, before I get a better look at it, might be the only undamaged car up front, and I don't want to jinx him or put the black cloud over him, as that seems to happen from time to time in this whole sim racing broadcast world, Rachel, you know that, but out front looking good and pulling away from damaged race cars.
Exactly what he needs to do, and that's exactly the position he wants to be in to secure himself a oh, big slam there. We gave him the commentator's curse. Massive tag of the wall out of 4 there for Cozy Jr., who slid up, got the back and the front there. Double slap of the wall. Big lot of sparks for him, and now have the tables turned?
I can't believe I actually just did that to Michael Cozy Jr. His entire legion of fans are probably going to send angry letters my way, and I apologize for that. I shouldn't have said it. I didn't even think about it before. I just blurted it out, but nonetheless, he's now hit the wall. Jeff Ward's been up into the fence. I see Matt Ridgway is pulled off onto pit road to bring his car in for some service. He's hit the wall while out front, so I don't know. Maybe being out front's not the best place to be. We saw Spencer Preet hit the wall very early on out front, so these guys out front, maybe without a target to chase, Justin, they're just missing their marks and hitting the wall really hard.
I mean, right after he hit the wall, he said he was due for one of those because it seems like everybody has done that except for maybe a couple drivers. But at this point, I think he's still in a decent spot because he's within 5 laps of the fuel mark now, up at the front for these guys who have not hit at all in this race. That is now confirmed that within 5 laps on the fuel. So as soon as he comes in, can just get 4 fresh tires. If there's suspension damage, can get some of that mitigated with fresh tires for the first time of the race. But the pit window is wide open, guys, for this race. As long as he doesn't hit the wall again, I think he's in okay shape with how everybody else in the top 5 has run this race tonight.
I do want to follow up on the Matt Ridgway story. He has parked the 13, and here comes Jeff Ward onto pit road, just as you were calling it, Justin. Jeff Ward hits pit road for the first time here tonight to take service. Rachel, do you think he's going to take some time to fix up some damage, or do you think he's just got to get 4 tires and go?
To be honest, at this point, I think it's time for just 4 tires and go. You can't really afford to make too many repairs at this place. You'll lose too much time, so can't do it. Just got to run it and go.
Time is of the essence. Jeff Ward brings the number 9 into the pit stall. Nice, clean pit stop underway there for him. Now the clock starts, Justin. How long until Michael Cozy Jr., Derek Paulson, and others decide to hit pit road? Here comes Cozy Jr. as I'm saying it.
I think right now, because one, you're right at the edge of the window if you have not gotten damage or added fuel while said getting damage repaired. And 2, from here, it's about a one-stopper. A close one-stopper, but a one-stopper nonetheless if you can save the fuel. So I expect everybody, for the most part, that has not gone in at least once to get repairs, to come in right now and get their 4 fresh tires and fuel to try and make this a one-stopper. If you are one of the drivers that have already had to take a different strategy for this race, I see them staying out of the track for now. You just got to make sure you keep the car clean while all the fresh tire drivers gain time back on you.
No surprise here, Spencer Preet keeps the 00 on the racetrack, much like he's done all year long. We sit here and wonder lap after lap, Rachel, when he's going to pit, when he's going to pit. We think he's going to. We think he can't stay out any longer, and he continues to prove us wrong, as he's usually one of the longest stint-running drivers in the series, but still, that Dr. Squatch 00 on the racetrack. How long do you think before he comes down pit road and yields?
Can't be too far. I don't think he's going to have to come down in the next few laps, I believe, but he's really in recovery in terms of points, but he's been winning so well in the last couple of rounds that I don't think he's really in a struggling position here. So maybe it takes a bit of humility sometimes to win a championship, and sometimes having a terrible race helps focus the driver.
We look at how things even out now on the cycle of green flag pit stops. Michael Cozy Jr. just ahead of Jeff Ward right now, and that will ultimately turn into the battle for the lead once this thing cycles through completely as they work past the number 12 of Mark Arthur here, starting lap number 68. Ward down to the bottom side now. This is going to be, like I said, ultimately the race for the lead, but nothing doing on the bottom side. Michael Cozy Jr. up in the preferred lane. And everybody just keeping an eye now on guys like Spencer Preet and Kyle Vincent Gilbert, Mark Arthur, Troy Radford, guys who have yet to pit. And as they catch up to Kyle Vincent Gilbert right now, put him a lap down effectively, or unlap themselves, I should say, more correctly. That should be the cue to Kyle Vincent Gilbert to come down pit road and get a service.
Yeah, he's got a difference on fuel about 15 laps when he got that damage repaired around lap 15, lap 16 on the first caution. So he can try and stretch it, but you can see those tires are absolutely dead. I'm surprised he hasn't ducked down yet. I think he's hoping that he's got fresher tires to gain the time back on for the rest of the race if it stays green from here. But for guys like Preet, he's in the situation where he could stay out there potentially for at least maybe 20 more laps, minimum 20, 30 more laps, because remember, he got that 51-second pit stop where he got damage repaired and got tires. So that is going to be interesting how that works out. So different strategies, different strokes for these drivers for the race within the race at this point.
We'll see how it all shakes out when we step aside for a commercial break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Warpath 200. Lots of drama unfolding right now on LSRTV.
We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. No. Turn your shower game up to 11. With the smooth lather of gold moss or the exfoliating woodsy bliss that is pine tar. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. You want to smell like the forest? Boom, pine tar, we've got you. You want to smell like the sea? Boom, nautical sage, we've got you. You want to smell like you just got off a boat in the Caribbean? Boom, bay rum, we've got you. And with 6 more cents, we've got you covered no matter what kind of man you are. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. Here's a couple reviews from real customers. Joseph S. says,
"This is the perfect bar of soap. It's like it was handcrafted in the Northwest Forest by beautiful tiny elves."
"Oh, tiny elves isn't enough for you? Well, here's another review from Michael A.
It makes you feel like you just stepped out of a mountain stream, and Squatch was there to hand you the towel."
Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. You want to smell like the forest? Boom, pine tar, we've got you. You want to smell like the sea? Boom, nautical sage, we've got you. You want to smell like you just got off a boat in the Caribbean? Boom, bay rum, we've got you. And with 6 more cents, we've got you covered no matter what kind of man you are. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men.
Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway here for the Warpath 200 on LSRTV. Just starting lap number 80, still cycling through green flag pit stops. We've been watching the battle between Michael Cozy Jr. and Jeff Ward as things continue to cycle through. I can tell you Spencer Preet did come down and get service as well. Michael Cozy Jr. has grabbed a little bit more of the outside wall, but it really hasn't slowed him down a whole bunch. But as things sort of cycle through and get back in their normal running order, you know, we're past the halfway point. It's going to get a little bit jumbled up, but that's okay. Let's take a look at our iRacing Midway race break. Brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. So, as they run right now, if I can get to the right screen, Mark Arthur out front leading the field. He has yet to pit. Troy Radford in second. Hunter A. King's had an eventful evening. Spun a few times, but he's up to third. Doug Johnson fourth. And the first car on new tires, Michael Cozy Jr., is up to fifth. Eventually, he will turn into the leader once everybody else pits. Jeff Ward on the back bumper there in sixth, trying to make a move. Derek Paulson seventh. Taylor Butcher Benjamin in eighth. Jay Graves Jr. in ninth. Last car on the lead lap, and Rick Thompson rounds out the top 10.
P11 tonight is going to be Spencer Preet, unfortunately. For him, not a great race. National Slice with Mark Gunn. Brian McRae in 14th, David Nenzel in 15th place with Jason Anderson, Carl Vincent Gilbert, Zachary Sprung, John Johnson, and Aiden Patterson.
And as you can see, some of our drivers having some rough times tonight. Jason Taylor, 2 laps down at the moment, 21st in the 51 car. Wally Wilson spun around a few times. Also 2 laps down, Mike Montesi, who started with an end of longest line penalty and missed the starting grid overall. Severely damaged front end. He's in the 23rd spot. With 2 drivers with issues. Matt Ridgway, remember him, he was up in the top 5 on strategy before having technical issues, while Steve Ritter is 28 laps down, also done for the night with the DNF.
That's been a look at your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. On lap number 85, we watch Michael Cozy Jr. and Jeff Ward fight up through the field, still some 16 seconds back from Mark Arthur, who has yet to make his pit stop. Hunter A. King in second as well, but again, once this all shakes out, Cozy Jr. will reassume the lead, where he's been much of the night so far, Rachel, and holding off the advances of Jeff Ward despite all the trips into the outside wall. That 99 is looking strong.
Certainly is. The 99 is doing a great job tonight and looking to way back towards the front. Mark Arthur, the 12, leading the way right now with the 38 of King in second with the cycle they've had here. 85 laps in the book, and well, the lap fall off. If we take a look at Cozy Jr. and his times right now, it's a pretty telling story. The fastest lap of the race for him, 30.005. Look at his laps now. He's only 1.3 seconds off that on very old tires here. So pit stop was about lap 65, and up to now, 25 laps in. It's surprising really how long these tires have lasted for these guys, but as it stands, that timing is a huge thing for him, and seeing just how much he's moving through his field. He's not dropped off after his wall hits that we saw earlier. We thought that wall hit would really hurt him, but compared to the driver, he's not lost as much time. And you know, how do you tell how much time you've lost? one of the best ways is using dual real timing. Whether you spend your time on iRacing behind the wheel like he does, on the spotter stand, or on the crew box, dual real timing is the go-to place for live iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a free download today at dual-real-timing.com.
Classic transition, Rachel. Well done. Thank you for that. As always, big thank you, of course, to our friends at Dual Real Timing for providing all the telemetry that you see on the screen. Brett Wheeler, our producer, doing a great job bringing it to you. I'm David Schildhouse, joined alongside, of course, by Rachel Whiteford and Justin Prince up here in the LSRTV virtual booth. Been a very entertaining race up to this point. JP, you were talking about during the commercial break. It's just hard to wrap your head around all the drama we've seen here, all the different storylines, and all the trips into the outside wall for these drivers.
Like, the cars in the outside wall is to be kind of expected, but to see how this race has played out has been kind of interesting in terms of there's so many different strategies now with the fuel cycles and the tires that there are a lot of different pictures and moving parts where everyone just has to run their own race. And the drivers, I think, that have been able to avoid the least amount of damage are the ones that are now thriving the most out of it. As you see here, Hunter King just ducking into the pits now as Cozy Jr. Ward passes by. It's kind of an interesting race, kind of in a kind of wacky kind of race, to be honest, in terms of how this race has flowed to the point where anything can happen to this point. If it stays green, this could be an absolutely wacky finish and absolutely shake up the point standings in the mid portion of the standings, I should say.
A lot at stake here for these drivers, and Rachel, I think a lot of these guys are sort of planting their flag in the ground, saying, this is my strategy, I am sticking to it. This race has a green flag feel right now. And, you know, now that Cozy Jr. and Jeff Ward are back up to the front as Mark Arthur has pitted, so these guys are out front. Spencer Preet stayed out for a very long time, definitely establishing what his strategy was. I think he even ran it out of gas, which might hurt him in the end, but seemingly a couple different strategies at play. But I think that Cozy Jr. and Jeff Ward are on the right one. What do you think?
Absolutely, but right now I'm more interested in how close Jeff Ward is to Cozy Jr. Maybe that little bit of damage has been enough to equalize him with Ward. Now Ward is in target range, and we'll have to see how this one plays out, because these two both want that win very desperately. Preet's been dominating this series, and to see these two in a position where they can fight, Jeff Ward has got to have a very big target on the back of that 99 car.
Cozy Jr. just led his 50th lap, I'm told, so 50 laps led out of 92. The majority been with the 99 out front, but the 9 behind him, much like they started the race, although it was Jeff Ward that took the pole, but these guys were on the front row together, and they haven't been separated by much since then. Jeff Ward, 3 wins to his credit. Spencer Preet, 5. Michael Cozy Jr., 0. He'd love to turn that 0 into a 1. We've talked about it a few times already, and over the past couple weeks, Cozy has just gotten better and better, more strong runs week over week, and a lot more consistency as well. As time progresses and a driver knocks off good finishes like that, Justin, a win seems inevitable, doesn't it?
I think it does. It's just a matter of, does this strategy work out, or does this race work out? And the way it has gone, it has worked out that way. He's kept himself comfortable, kept himself clear and focused, has kept the car minimally damaged. It's just a matter of now, can he hold off a driver like Jeff Ward, make sure he's not pressurized from behind, and shove it into the wall? Because if he shoves it into the wall like he did that one time around the end of the last fuel run, that might be the door that Ward can be waiting for. If he keeps it clean and doesn't push up like that again, then Cozy Jr., I think, might have the speed still to defend for the position.
Defend he is. He ran all the way low on the front straightaway, swung it back to the outside fence to set up the entry into turn 1. Jeff Ward displaying a lot of patience right now, as he has all season long, but I think it's only a matter of time until he works around it. He's got that hungry look to him. If you can say a race car has attitude, Rachel, that 9 appears to have a lot of attitude where he wants to make this pass and get out front.
Absolutely does, and attitude is exactly what you need to have in one of these sort of races, and right now Ward is showing every sign that he wants to take this thing. It's been Cozy putting a very strong fight in second place, but for the most of this season, Ward, oh, it's his turn.
Jeff Ward hasn't been out front for much of this race. I'm not sure he even has a lap led to his credit, as things got a little bit hairy on the first lap, causing him to fall from the lead back to somewhere in the top 5. But It's not often Jeff Ward hasn't led a lap this far into a race, as we're about to start lap 97, but definitely in the right position to do it. And talking about the varying strategies, I think for Cozy Jr., he figures whatever Jeff Ward does is good enough for me at this point. The guy's got 3 wins. I should probably be able to follow his lead and get there as well. But the 99 stretches the lead out once again, just ever so slightly. And when you get 2 cars in this kind of proximity, Justin, around the racetrack and not a lot of passing room to get it done, do you think it's more Jeff Ward just trying to apply a whole bunch of pressure to force Michael Cozy Jr. into a mistake, or is he just content to ride there and just mess with his head a little bit?
I think it's a mix of both. You want to stay in range. You want to keep in their draft where it forces them to have a different handling car like it happens in iRacing and in real life within 0.5 of a second. The thing is, too, you also want to keep in their head because you want them to know that they don't have a cushion for when they make a mistake or have to back of a corner. They can't let off the gas. They can't be cautious. They can't just save the tires, because the second you try and save or try and be conservative, they're going to jump and try and take advantage of that and take the lead. That, I think, is what Ward is doing, and has been doing so excellently so far tonight, and how Cozy's just been able to keep himself to where he's just dialed in and driving the way he needs to. The thing is, if he gets, say, an aero push from behind where it makes it loose, that has been so much more common since the last build in the past couple months, especially on the quarter panels, that can absolutely be where the door can still open and where Ward continues to stay close on behind to force that situation.
I think it's going to be a self-inflicted mistake by Michael Cozy Jr. that's going to cost him the lead at this point. And, you know, Jeff Ward hasn't been one to put the bumper to anybody. We saw him do it with Spencer Preet at Atlanta, just ever so slightly on the last lap, but it didn't wreck him, didn't even really move him up the track. He's not a dirty driver like that. He'll worry somebody into a mistake long before he puts the bumper to him. But right now, Spencer Preet, I should say Michael Cozy Jr. doing everything that he needs to, but gosh, he's flirting with disaster. He gets really close to the outside wall, and we see him lap after lap here, Rachel, just run the apron down the front straightaway, and Jeff Ward takes the high side, that longer way around.
Yeah, he certainly does, and I think you're right. Cozy will make a mistake, and that's what will cost him the lead, if that happens. I don't think Ward will pass him on the track. I think it'll be a mistake, if it comes to that. But that's saying it does. I mean, Cozy could just stay here perfect the whole race long, and it could be a done deal, but if it's going to happen, it'll be a mistake. You're right.
We just passed by 35 laps to go, and still one more pit stop, we think, to come for these guys. They still got a set of tires in the pits to use, so we think we'll see them come down pit road one more time. What do you think, JP? What's the fuel window look like if they even have to worry about that at this point?
Well, thinking about the math of the fuel window, remember these drivers, Ward and Cozy Jr. specifically, had pit around lap 65, lap 66, where in terms of that is right.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
I don't think they have another set. I think that's 2 total sets, starting the race and 1 for during, because they're pushing it that long to like 1 to 65 or so. I think they're trying to one-stop this thing. I don't think they actually have a second set of tires.
I was trying to get to the point where even if they have a second set, I don't think it's the smart thing to top the pit again, because they're right at the edge of where they can make enough fuel in the first place, Rachel, because it's about maybe at the most if you save 64. That's around right where these 2 drivers are at. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Rachel.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's literally they're pushing this to the fuel numbers because I think that's what they have to do based on their tire allotments. Yeah. And even if you did, you wouldn't go to lap 65 to put on a set of tires and wait to 104 to put on a second set. You'd have split it far more evenly to about maybe 50, well, 40, 40, 40.
Yep, that's correct. Looking at it, that is 2 sets of tires for the race. That's my mistake. I said at the top of the show. 1 set to start with plus 2 in the pits. That's not right. It was 1 plus 1. So that's it. They're done pitting. We'll put that one to bed and move on from there. So this is it. This is a run to the checkered flag now. 30 laps to go. 30 laps to go this time by. Cozy Jr. out front. He's got to outlast and beat one of the best in the business, Jeff Ward. Not many people have done that this season, save for Spencer Preet, Justin. So if you're Michael Cozy Jr., you got 30 laps to go. What's the mindset? What's the mentality? What do you have to do to ensure this thing gets a checkered flag in your hand?
Well, you first off have to hope that the race stays clean, that there's no incidents for the drivers around you, that there's no cautions, because if there's an air caution in this race, it flips everything upside down in terms of everything. So at this point, to try and secure this race in your hand, you have to hit the marks the way you need to. If you're Cozy Jr., do not let up. Do not over push the tires at the same time, and just ride your own race. If you try and over push or be too conservative now, that is where the trouble starts off once again. So just drive your own race. Go from there, because you don't know what's going to happen, because if you go the way this is, you're up in front, the top 2 by 7 seconds right now over Derek Paulson. Your race is in your hands right now, as long as this race goes to the finish.
I couldn't agree more. The top 2 have definitely checked out. Derek Paulson running a very strong 3rd place right now, but some 7.5 seconds back from this top 2. Spencer Preet is up to 4th, Rachel, somehow, and he stayed out a long time, but he's about 16 seconds, 16.5 seconds back, not really gaining a whole lot of time. Looking at the lap times, he's not that much faster than Michael Cozy Jr. Taylor Butcher Benjamin rounds out the top 5, but Spencer Preet, nice recovery job inside of the top 5 with that highly damaged race car from the early onset of the race.
Yeah, he's doing his best to try and mitigate the damage, but he's 16 seconds back. It's not going to be an impact where he can actually have an effect on the race result overall, but certainly good points for him in terms of finishing this championship, but it proves just how solid a driver he is.
One of the best there is in this series, but in a position to lose some points to Jeff Ward. He gained a few back last week with the win at the Brickyard. Tonight in a position to give them back, I believe. If things don't change right now, Jeff Ward finishes 2nd and Preet finishes 4th. He'll give a few points back, but you know, there's a small picture for the regional championship. We're in the Midwest regional championship right now. The 2nd race of that, Jeff Ward won the Eastern segment. The first 10 races of the season fell under that one. But it's really about the big picture, Justin. It's the overall season-long championship. 4 points separate Ward and Preet, but any opportunity you get to gain a few points back, we've seen these 2 race so close all season long. A couple points could be all that wins you that championship at the end of it.
It can, and these kind of races could lose you a championship. But the thing is, Preet has done as best of a job as he could, I think, to try and recover with this race. He's had to stretch it longer for, of course, the fuel run. Ran the car all the way to empty, in fact, into the pit lane. And now at this point, if the race stays the way it is, can just will overall just lose 2 points in the overall points picture and just end up basically around a tie going on for the Midwest Regional. In fact, yes, indeed, a tie if the race sticks the way it is. It's been a good damage control kind of a race for Preet after so much struggling that he had in the first 15-20 laps of this race, that I think this is going to not be too much of a blow, but could be, if it stays as close as has been between these two for the rest of the way.
Jeff Ward on pit road. Sorry, Justin, to cut you off. Jeff Ward in the 9 has come down pit road. Not really sure why, though. If he doesn't have any tires left in the pits, what would bring him to pit road?
I think fuel. That's the only thing I can think of here. If the math, unless the math were on here, there's a possibility here that they might not have added your full fuel, or they will not be able to make enough even with saving it, because originally I said even without saving, it's around usually 55 here. 64 if you really try and really push it. And it looks like he's doing that and taking tires here for a pit stop.
Confusion reigns supreme right now as he completes the service in about 14.5 seconds. And he'll head back out on the speedway, taking service with almost 20 laps to go here. Now we'll see Derek Paulson, his Loud Pedal Motorsports teammate, do the same thing in the number 5. Keep an eye on the 99 of Michael Cozy Jr., see if he comes down pit road soon. That's got to be a signal. If both of the 2nd and 3rd place drivers just come down pit road, Rachel, there's got to be something to that.
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe I don't understand this. Why would you be taking tires? Unless there's a mistake and he's taken them by accident that he shouldn't have done, because of their system. It's an honor system. You take the allotment set of tires. Maybe he didn't uncheck it, but I honestly think that I don't know why you'd ever consider bringing tires out with 20 to go. Why not split it evenly, especially if the fuel's close? You're gonna go faster on 2 sets of tires evenly spread.
Yeah, I think right now, based on what everyone's doing here, I think the math was partly wrong in terms of they had in terms of the laps to go and calculations. They had around 70 laps to go. That's still a ways to stretch in the first place. I think right now that they are reaching that max limit on the fuel right now, because it looks like in terms of Cozy Jr., he's within 10-15 laps right now. And it looks like Cozy Jr. said himself just now in his cockpit that he needs a caution right now.
Well, wouldn't be a good race without a little more drama unfolding here right before our very eyes as we cross over 20 laps to go. Jeff Ward and Derek Paulson pit from second and third. Michael Cozy Jr. has yet to pit. And if he's going to get helped out, a caution is going to fly right now, or it's not going to fly at all, and his strategy is going to fall by the wayside because he stayed out for now 2, almost 3 laps past when Jeff Ward came down pit road, losing time to the 9 as Jeff Ward works through on fresh tires and enough fuel to make it to the end. As Cozy grabs the outside wall once again, akin to what he did the last time off of turn 4, eats up the safer barrier and further damages the right side of the 99.
Yeah, that is not ideal for him there, unfortunately, as it's going to really impact his race, especially if the rest of them start coming around to this. But again, Ward being trapped a lap down, a caution would be ideal circumstance right now for Cozy.
Would be ideal, I would imagine, if the caution flew. Jeff Ward would get the wave around because I think the leaders would pit at that point if they have more tires to take. I don't know at this point. I don't know what the tire allotment is. I don't know how many they've taken at this point. I can't tell. So that puts me in a tough position to say with confidence what it necessarily is. Justin, do you have an update on that?
Yeah, once again, as mentioned, they had, including the tires on the car, 3 sets. They said in the driver's meeting, as I mentioned in the early portion, that they had 2 tire changes, quote unquote, as mentioned during the driver's meeting for today, and that's exactly what I think we're doing. We've seen a majority of the drivers use up their first allotment during all the cautions in the first 35 laps, which really I think was where a lot of the confusion amongst a lot of us ended up having to be. So now drivers are going to have to take splash and dashes instead of taking 4 tires and fuel like they normally would in this kind of a situation so close to the finish line.
We'll see how it all plays out as this thing gets close to wrapping up here. We're getting close to almost 15 laps to go at this point. No sign from Michael Cozy Jr. that he's going to do anything other than stay out on the track. Spencer Preet up to second, Mark Arthur third, Ashton Schleiss now up to fourth, the last car on the lead lap, but barely, as Jeff Ward is up to fifth, but he's in a tough position, a sort of an awkward position right now. If nobody in front of him pits, that's as best as he's going to do, I think.
Yeah, I think so at this point. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit speechless with the way how this race is cycled out, but now it's going to be absolutely a Spencer Preet or Mark Arthur kind of race as Cozy Jr. has to duck in. He's out of fuel.
All right, so that answers that. So 2 stops were allowed for the race. So sort of what I said at the top of the show was right. And, you know, whatever. We'll get through it. It's fine. Everything's fine. But here comes Cozy nonetheless. Now, the interesting thing to see is as this cycles out, how much time did he give up by staying out on the track that long to Jeff Ward? And whatever he lost, can he make it up with the fresher rubber? Rachel, what are your thoughts there?
I don't know. Long call. But at the same time, he's been in the pits an awful long time now. He has to come out very soon, otherwise he's in some serious trouble. Look at where Spencer Preet is. Preet is going through 1 and 2, so he's going to have a lap to make up and about 15 laps to do it. It's not going to be likely.
Tall order for sure as Cozy rather works off the access road now. His service completed, a little bit slower pit stop than that of Jeff Ward. So we'll see how this thing shakes out, but I imagine Jeff Ward and Derek Paulson timed this thing correctly. If Mark Arthur and Spencer Preet are going to try and stretch this thing to the end, I'll be pretty impressed if they can do that, but Michael Cozy Jr.'s got to be on the gas here, JP.
He's going to need a caution. I don't think there's enough time, enough laps if this race stays green to catch up. If he gets a caution, I think he wins the race. If this stays green, I think he does not have a chance, in heck, unfortunately, for Cozy Jr., as well as he has been tonight, to catch up to them because they're all the way around the racetrack, all the way right now in the front stretch. There's not enough laps to try and close a half a racetrack lead in terms of time on the circuit. I'm sorry. This is not going to work, I don't think, unless there's a caution for Cozy Jr.
It seems unlikely, but it does seem feasible, at least for Jeff Ward, who is running about a second a lap faster than Spencer Preet right now. He might be able to pull this thing off and work his way all the way back. He's making absolutely great time. Clean racetrack in front of him, no traffic there. as he's about 8.5 seconds back in closing on Mark Arthur. A couple slower cars in the way to get around when he gets to it, but a real interesting twist here is we're coming to 10 laps to go this time by, Rachel. This race definitely set on its ear a little bit, something we didn't expect to see.
It's definitely changed things for us up here at the booth, and you guys back at home, of course, watching that. This is one of those situations where we've had what people thought was the strategy completely changed just through race issues. Our first stint was kind of artificially spread out because of the cautions we had. So they thought, yeah, maybe I can make this on the one stop. Unfortunately, it does seem like, no, you can't.
We've seen time after time strategy come into play here in the Dr. Squatch Pro Series presented by SESRA last week at the Brickyard. Fuel mileage definitely played a factor in Spencer Preet getting that win. Justin Bolton tried to chase him down a week ago, came up a little bit short, and Jeff Ward came up a little bit even more short as he almost gets up into Brian McRae there off of turn 4, but Jeff Ward didn't do a good job, admitted it in the post-race show. I needed to work on his fuel mileage and fuel-saving tactics in the Ford. Knew they had some work to do, and here once again tonight, fuel plays a factor as Spencer Preet out front with Mark Arthur second, but Jeff Ward charging hard, still 10.5 seconds back with under 10 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm absolutely speechless. I'm just absolutely speechless with this race. I'm sorry. This is another kind of race where there's a chance I think Preet might actually still win this race. I cannot believe that with what happened before, we talked about anything can happen. This is, I think, anything. This fits that category the way this has gone. Preet somehow, I think, might have just got the strategy right enough to where when he got that damage repaired, took the fuel and the tires, might just got it in the window to, of course, make it from here. And I think he's got enough of a distance over Ward, of course, and Arthur now to where, as long as he doesn't stuff in the wall, he might be able to hold on. Or, if he does make a mistake, Mark Arthur might be the one coming away with a race victory. After he's had such a quiet day for a majority of the time in the late portion of the top 10. Just a confusing and absolutely unexpected strategy race tonight here at Kansas, all I can say.
Expect the unexpected. That might be the new tagline for this series. We never really talked about
front stretch. Pardon me, Taylor Butcher Benjamin almost brought out the caution here, guys, because right in front of Arthur, he slammed the wall and nearly collected 4 drivers.
Tough break for Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Spent much of this race up inside the top 10, even the top 5, but now smoke billowing out of the back of his number 8. Had a great run last week at Indianapolis, but it's going to come to an end here within shouting distance of the checkered flag. Fortunate for Mark Arthur to not get swept up as you see the replay on your screen, but just got away from him, popped the wall, and that's going to be all she wrote for the number 8 here tonight, Rachel.
I think that's unfortunately going to be how it is, and I can't believe we're in a situation again where it might be 00. We thought we'd written him off.
Yeah, shame on us, I suppose. Never write off Spencer Preet. He's got 5 wins for a reason, I suppose. He's got a lot of skill. One of the best drivers and always finds a way, no matter what the odds are or how deep they're stacked against him, to persevere, and he might limp his way here. Jeff Ward is 6.5 seconds back and closing still, but he's running out of time. We got 4 laps to go this time by. I just don't think he's got enough time to get to him.
I don't think so either. Right now, while Arthur's closing about 2 or 3 tenths per lap, there's not enough time. If he had, say, 10 more laps, I think he'd be in a great spot. Mark Arthur would be to try and win this race. But there is too much of a cushion Preet got on the different strategy. And with everyone else having to pit, of course, Jeff Ward, he may be eating about a second a lap, but there is not enough time in this race. Under 3 laps to go. Spencer Preet may have just done the impossible here tonight, guys. The unbelievable, the unexpected to try and win this race.
If this thing holds out the way that it is, I can't wait to hear his words in the post-race show because he's going to have a lot to explain to us here. And I'll have to formulate the questions in order to get the right answers out of the driver of the 00. But as he does it, 2 laps to go this time by, no signs of slowing down. He was holding on by a thread with Justin Bolton, I should say, chasing him down last week at Indy. Not under any extreme duress here as he's got a 2-second lead over Mark Arthur. And Jeff Ward still about just under 5 seconds back. So clean, easy sailing for Spencer Preet right now, Rachel. And I know your mouth is agape in wonderment at what you're seeing.
It really is, and this is just why he's winning this championships, you know. And I think a lot of the viewers who really like Spencer Preet were like, "Oh wow, this race is over now." Whereas here they're seeing it really just flip back, and this is why he's such a great driver. He got the strategy right. It looked like he had the race wrong, but kudos to 00.
White flag in the air, one more, a half a lap this time by, I should say, now for Spencer Preet. Checkered flag in sight. A lot of storylines played out here at Kansas, and Spencer Preet didn't seem to be in most of them, but somehow, some way, and we'll find out shortly, he managed to pull it off one more time. For the 6th time this season, Spencer Preet from first to worst and back to first, he wins the Warpath 200.
Well, this is going to be a heck of a celebration, I think. Ward was able to eat it within 4 seconds of a gap, but I think it's a race of what-ifs for drivers like Ward, Cozy Jr., whatnot, because Spencer Preet somehow, some way, got on the right strategy to win this race despite having a near-demolished race car all night long and was able to even run it towards empty. I think at this point, Cozy Jr.'s shove from behind is a much-deserved, how the heck did you do that? You are the man kind of a celebration tonight.
A lot of drivers will be scratching their head after this one, and we'll hear from the top 3. After we return from this commercial break, don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss these post-race interviews right here on your home for live sim racing, LSRTV.
We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. No. Turn your shower game up to 11. With the smooth lather of gold moss or the exfoliating woodsy bliss that is pine tar. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Back here at the Kansas Speedway, an absolutely unbelievable race. The Warpath 200 has just concluded. Spencer Preet, somehow, to all of our amazement, has walked away with his 6th checkered flag of the season. We're going to hear from him and your top 3 finishers after we take a look at the LSRTV unofficial finishing results. So Spencer Preet on top of the pylon once again. Mark Arthur comes home with a fantastic 2nd place finish, uses another strategy to get himself a podium result. Jeff Ward comes home in 3rd, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say as well. Can't wait to hear from him. Michael Cozy Jr., after leading much of this race, fades to a disappointing 4th place finish. Derek Paulson will round out the top 5. Kyle Vincent Gilbert comes home in 6th. Ashton Schleiss, great run, up in 7th. Hunter A. King rebounds from a couple of spins to come home 8th. Troy Radford gets a great result in 9th, up 13 positions from his starting spot. Last car on the lead lap, and Rick Thompson rounds out the top 10.
P11 tonight is going to be Doug Thompson, with Jago Jr. in 12th place. Jensen Taylor in 13th, Mark Goyne. Brian McRae in 15th with Zachary Sprung. David Netzel in 17th place, Aiden Patterson, John Johnson, and Jaden Anderson in 20th.
Mike Montesi was able to recover to 4 laps down for a 21st place finish. Harold Butcher Benjamin did get back on the racetrack after bringing smoke out of his engine after smacking the wall hard, but still finished 22nd, 5 laps down after having a shot at a top 10. While Wally Wilson ran on the bottom side of the racetrack, finished 11 laps down in 23rd. Matt Ridgway and Steve Ritter were your DNFs. Kevin Dye watched everything unfold interestingly for the race control tonight in what was, again, an interesting race, as you mentioned, David.
Yeah, a great race, and sort of sad to see it end, but absolutely stunning strategy brings another win to Spencer Preet. So I think it's time. Let's hear from your race winner. Get up into the booth here, if you would, and let's hear what he has to say. And there he is for the 6th time this season. Spencer Preet walks away with a checkered flag. Spencer, first question I have to ask you is how? How did you do it? You hit the wall, you seem to have the wrong strategy, and you weren't a factor, and then all of a sudden we look up, and you're leading and take the checkered flag. How did you do it?
Well, in all honesty, it hitting the wall on lap 1 and pretty much ruining my race by lap 10 won me the race. Had that not happened, I wouldn't have pit to fix damage when I did. I forget how early in the race it was. It was the first caution we had. I came down, I fixed all my damage that I had gotten, and I topped off of fuel, not really thinking about it, and saved my sets of tires, and I drove out the rest of the run like everybody else. But then I was starting to think about it, and I asked Mark, I was like, how good are we on fuel? How long can we make it on a tank? And everyone was saying 55 to 57. So I tried to get as far as I could, and I had, from topping off on that first caution, I had just enough to get me to about 56 or 55 to go. And the damage was holding me back a little bit and hurting my straightaway speed. So I ended up burning a little bit more than everybody else, and so I even had to save, coming about like 15 to go. I had to start saving for a while. But the way it played out and just not having to take that extra stop, it played out perfect. Just the way the cautions fell and how it went green to the end. I mean, I got lucky, really. Just the way it all played out. It's been a while since I really lucked into one like this. I really didn't deserve it. And at the point, I mean, even without the damage, I think I was probably going to run 3rd. With the damage, I think it was the best I could have done was 4th or 5th. So I got real lucky tonight.
To say that you're on fire as a driver would be understating it. 3 wins in a row, and now 4 out of the last 5 going back to your win at Watkins Glen. What's clicking for you? What is making everything go your way?
Well, if you would have asked me last week, I would have said, I've been putting in a little bit more effort into practicing for each race and trying to get better on long runs and maintaining long run longevity. But tonight, man, I was off. I was surprised. I couldn't hot lap with those other guys. Jeff and Cozy were much quicker than me, and I think even, I mean, it's hard to say because I pounded the wall on lap 1 and I never really had the same speed after that, but I don't think I was going to be able to contend with them on the long run. And it's kind of one of those things where I think just being able to run up at the front and put yourself in these situations, every now and then you kind of hit a streak where things kind of fall your way like they did tonight. And yeah, I try to put myself in a good spot every night. I started off real rough tonight, but I kept at it and didn't give up on it. So I think that's really all it is, just trying to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed each and every week.
A little resilience and can-do attitude definitely served you well here tonight as you led 29 laps, but I'll give you the opportunity to say hello to friends, family, sponsors, and everyone else who helps you and the 00 get to victory lane now 3 times in a row.
Big thanks to Dr. Squatch for sponsoring the series, sponsoring my car. Make sure to use promo code SESRA15 for your first purchase at drsquatch.com. Save yourself 15% off your first order. Big thank you to everyone on Rebellion Racing. Mark especially, because if he hadn't have really said anything about the fuel and the mileage, I probably wouldn't have stretched it like I did, and I would have been in a 2-stopper situation at the end. So thanks to him and all of them, and shout out to Cozy and his stream, everyone watching, you guys for putting on the broadcast.
All right, Spencer, great job tonight. Back to back to back. We'll look forward to seeing you next weekend in Iowa.
Thank you. See you then.
There you have it, your winner. And people might be getting sick of hearing it, but it is Spencer Preet again for the 6th time this season, and a great job for him. But let's catch up with our second-place finisher, Mark Arthur. And Rachel, you've got him.
I certainly have. Mark Arthur started out today in 11th place, came home today in 2nd after the strategy just worked tonight, Mark.
Yeah, I'm just as surprised as you are. They took the last caution there, and everybody was asking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to pit? Are we going to... They all told me I was crazy, and even Spencer included. He said, I would never give up that track position to pit. And I said, well, I'm not going to take tires. I want to hold one of those sets in the bank. And I said, I'm definitely going to come down and just get fuel at least in case it goes green. Sure enough, it did. So I kind of looked out tonight.
Fantastic run today. And this is a tough track, of course. Just give the viewers at home an idea of just how narrow that racing line is.
Oh, it's like super. I mean, you're talking about a couple tire whiffs of error. I mean, if you go in and miss that corner in and push up into that wall, it's just there's no help. I mean, once your right rear touches that wall, it just pulls you right in, and it's nothing you can do. And then if you jerk it off the wall, there was a couple close ones tonight where people were pulling it off the wall, and you don't come off easy. You come off probably a couple feet, and the bad thing is there's usually someone there to your inside, and luckily that didn't happen too much tonight.
Certainly not. Well, regardless, a fantastic run. Anybody like to give it a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank Rebellion Racing, my team, SESRA as always, and LSRTV for putting it on. Dr. Squatch, use code SESRA15. And I don't know what's in that soap. If they added some luck in it, or if that soap it must be so good it washed the bad luck off of me, because I finally got a win. I'm waiting for him to send me some crisp IPA. My wife says she loves it when I smell like beer, so I want to see if that gets me lucky or not, too.
There you go. Dr. Squatch can make you win races. There you go. Thanks for joining us, Mark Arthur.
Thanks, Rachel.
An absolutely interesting race here, guys. Once again, why don't we bring in Jeff Ward, who probably coming away 3rd is thinking, what in the world just happened, Jeff? What is going through your mind right now after such a wacky finish, to say the least, tonight in terms of how the strategy played out tonight?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for us. We ran up front most of the night there, had a pretty good long run car. Ran behind Cozy a lot there and banged it off the wall once, got a little right front damage, which didn't help us a whole lot. That little incident with Spencer at the beginning, I don't think it hurt us too bad, but it got him pretty good, but it didn't affect him. He was able to win another race on strategy there. So, he's clicking over there. That's 3 in a row. Congrats to him. He's the first one to do it in this league, I believe. So maybe we can follow suit at some point, but that curse is rough. It's good to see somebody break it, but at the same time, that sucks for us because he's closing in on points now and extending the segment lead on points. So we got to find some either find some luck or some better strategy here going forward, because he's kicking our butt on that.
I think it was more so luck than everything else tonight, because somehow after having the contact with an early portion of the race, still able to get on the right strategy in the end to have enough fuel to make it a one-stopper. But thing is, though, of course, different race for next week. It's the Rusty's 199 at Iowa Speedway. How do you feel about that racetrack, especially being a short track where depending on the conditions, can either have the bottom groove workout or it could be a similar kind of style race if depending on the conditions at the nighttime at Iowa on the High Line.
Yeah, Iowa's a lot of fun with this new dynamic weather. It's going to be interesting to see where you can run on the track. I know the High Line's usually the preferred line, but I'm more of a bottom dweller. Obviously, tonight here in Kansas, you can't really do that. You're going to get ate up. So I like down on the bottom. We'll just have to get out there and practice, see what where the grip is, and see if it changes throughout the night. But Iowa's a fun short track. I expect a lot of close racing. I've had some good luck there, so looking forward to going there. I'm more of a 1.5 mile guy when it comes to saving tires, but hopefully we can go out there and beat and bang and try to run up front again.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you get going tonight?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast, as always. I'd like to thank Dr. Squatch coming on board. I'd like to thank Loud Pedal Motorsports, my team. Congrats to my teammate there. He got, I believe, 5th tonight, so it's top 5 for both of us. Can't be too sad about that, so we'll just keep chugging.
Congratulations on the top 3 tonight. Congratulations on 3rd place overall as well.
All right, thanks, man.
That was Jeff Ward coming away 3rd, David.
Well, a very eventful race here at the Kansas Speedway. Certainly lived up and possibly surpassed the expectations I had. Rachel, I did not see this one playing out with the result that we saw Spencer Preet coming away with the win using that strategy. I think we all wrote him off, and once again, he proved us wrong. I guess 6 wins at this point. We can't think negatively of him anymore.
Absolutely, of course, and what a phenomenal series this is, where even when things get down, they're still amazing.
Down but not out. He comes back to get the win, but that'll wrap things up for us here from Kansas Speedway. We'll look forward to seeing all of you back 1 week from tonight on January 10th from the Iowa Speedway for the Rusty's 199. We'll see if Spencer Preet can maybe go for 4 in a row. We'll have to wait and find out, but in any event, what a fun show. What a great time, and we appreciate all of you for tuning in with us. But until then, for our producer, Brett Wheeler, for Justin Prince, Rachel Whiteford, I am David Schildhaus, saying congratulations once again to Spencer Preet, and good night from Kansas.
During the First World War, Big Soap started taking out all the natural ingredients to make production cheaper and faster. And they replaced all the natural stuff with chemicals. Chemicals like sodium lauryl sulfate, parabens, and dioxane. Chemicals linked to depression, liver damage, cancer, and low sperm count. And worst of all, dry skin. Oh, your poor balls, all dry, empty, and sad. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. Listen up, the soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. They're still using whatever bar their mommy bought for her little man. Is that what you want? To smell like mama's little man? Ugh. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Click the link for Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. Real soap for real men. Or don't. And continue to be mommy's little helper.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of... The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.